Le Nissan Kick-Play 2025 a beaucoup de plus. Apple CarPlay intégré pour jouer vos tunes préférées, des fonctions avancées de sécurité, un rendement énergétique remarquable, puis même la petite odeur de char neuf qu'on aime tant. Tout ça en plus pour moins. Le Nissan Kick Play 2025 est le véhicule neuf le plus abordable au Québec. Achetez-le à partir de seulement 22 774 $, incluant un rabais à l'achat comptant de 2 600 $. Profitez de cette offre avantageuse chez votre concessionnaire dès maintenant. Jusqu'au 2 mars, des conditions s'appliquent. Détails chez Nissan.
Welcome back to the Elias Macco Show. Third hour of the program. We're going to start off. I don't know if you've seen these photos in Journal de Montréal of fires in Quebecers' homes. They say caused by their Samsung stoves. Multiple incidents, some resulting in just a scare, others in fires that led to an entire loss of a home. And now there is a class action lawsuit against Samsung over these apparent defective stoves. Let's now go to Joey Zukran, who's a class action attorney with LPC Avocats, specializes in consumer rights. Joey, welcome to the program.
Hi, Elias. Thank you for having me on.
How did this story get onto your radar?
So I received a phone call from a consumer who lives in Mascouche, and you can imagine we receive all sorts of phone calls with different ideas. And he told me, he goes, look, I have a Samsung range. It turns on by accident or inadvertently, and my house almost went on fire. So again, we receive all sorts of different claims. The guy sounded serious. Said, you know what? Let me take a look. Went to his house, drove to Mascouche, and indeed, the man just walks by his Samsung range, and those knobs, so the front-mounted knobs, literally turn on by his shirt, his T-shirt coming into contact. So what he explained to me was that he wasn't sure whether it was his shirt or his stomach or his thigh or even his cat one day a few weeks ago that would have accidentally triggered it to turn on because they were made simply in a manner that was too sensitive. And there was some granola bars or something on the top of his range, and they caught fire. And by the time he got home, he smelled that burning smell, and he was able to extinguish it. So we looked into it, and it turns out that there was a recall in the U.S. of more than 1 million ranges, Samsung ranges. And in Canada, they were resisting the recall. They hadn't issued the recall. And then a couple of weeks later, they recalled about 350,000 units in Canada. Now, I asked him, I said, sir, when you have a recall of a vehicle, for example, they'll recall the vehicle, or even Tesla, we'll use the example of Tesla, they'll update it remotely. So there's no real harm. So I said, what happened? Like, what are they proposing as a remedy? And this is where the case gets really interesting. They say, keep your stove, your defective stove that we sold you, and we're going to give you for free these bulky, I don't even know what they're called, I guess covers or knob covers, but these ugly, bulky, transparent knob covers that go over the knob, and they were kind enough to send him some 3M tape as well so that he can, do some arts and crafts at home and stick them on. And basically that $2,500 range that Samsung described on its website as stylish, elegant, and modern ends up looking like something from the Stone Ages.
Correct me if I'm wrong here. These covers that they're sending out, it's like almost like childproof locks. I think I've seen those covers for stoves, and we've got a baby-proof our house right now. So it's that type of thing to physically cover up the knob so they can't inadvertently be turned.
Yeah, so you described it perfectly. You took me back about 13 or 14 years now. It's when you used to protect the corners of your table so the kid doesn't bounce off it. So essentially, and actually Samsung says that. They say, please keep your children and pets away from the stove. So imagine you don't have to tell your children, and I don't think you can tell your pets, but you don't have to tell your children, you can't walk in the kitchen anymore when we're not here because we bought a stove for $2,500 that may accidentally turn on if you walk by it. It's insane. It's unacceptable. And so I asked my client, what do you want as a remedy? It was very simple. Either send somebody to replace the front panel so that I don't have knobs with a safety defect, or give me my money back. And in his case, he purchased it less than a year ago in January of 2024.
And, I imagine like dogs, right? Some dogs, they'll just climb up on counters and and nobody's home, right? If the dog's left alone in the house, this could be potentially very serious, right?
Exactly. So if you go on YouTube or Google or X or whatever we use these days to look at videos, you've typed Samsung range fire. So there's videos of a dog, a poor dog was in the house. You see him climbing on the stove. It's the first video that pops up. He turns the stove on, house goes on fire. Now, ever since Julien McAvoy from Journal de Montréal published his story last week, we've been flooded with thousands and thousands of people sharing stories on our website. And about 7 or 8 of them actually had their house go on fire. They sent us pictures. Some of those pictures were published yesterday in the Journal de Montréal as well. So it's not just a scare. People's houses are actually going on fire. Samsung was aware of it because many of these people actually wrote to Samsung and just have done nothing. They just don't care.
We're with Joey Zukran, class action attorney with LPC Avocats. We're talking about this proposed class action against Samsung for faulty stove design. How many years are we going back here on these Samsung stoves? Like, how many people could this affect? Do you know?
So according to Health Canada's recall, the safety defect would have been committed in stoves dating back as 2013. So it's anyone who would have bought one of the Samsung ranges listed on their website from 2013 till as recently as this year.
And is it both electric and gas stoves? Because they also make gas stoves. Is it all of their ranges? Do you know?
My understanding is that it's only the electric ranges for now.
Okay, gotcha. Do you have a response from Samsung? I mean, like, I know what they've said to customers, but has there been any reaction to the stories and now the proposed class action?
So how a lawsuit works is we file the action in court, and then the defendant has 30 days to respond. And we've served them a couple of weeks ago, so we still haven't received a formal appearance from them in court. Unfortunately, these things sometimes drag out. Occasionally, you'll have a company that wants to be a good corporate citizen and make right fast. So that's yet to be determined in this case.
And you were saying that your client wants either the front panel replaced or their money back. Is that what you're going here for everyone involved in the class action?
Absolutely. So once an action is filed, you're automatically included in the case. You don't have to take any steps to be included. But I can assure you that the thousands of people, and I think it's above 10,000 now, that have signed up on our website would have never purchased a range that A, suffers from a safety defect, which according to law Samsung is presumed to have known about, and B, would have to cover their knobs, their 4 front knobs, with bulky 3M tape and bulky covers. So anyone who's purchased one of those recalled ranges is automatically included, but we encourage them to sign up on our site, which is lpclex.com/Samsung.
Can I ask you, do you know, like, everyone that's got one of these ranges or stoves at home, would they have received a notice from the company? Like, would they have received a notice about this? Is it possible there are people listening to us now that just found out about this issue?
100%. So that's another good point you raised. So instead of Samsung, making a proactive notice campaign where they go out and actually reach the public, this was just a press release, Health Canada press release, and they're only sending the knobs on demand. Now, obviously, for some people who bought directly from Samsung, they'll know their address, they'll have their address. But I would say with a bit of effort. I mean, they're sold at Rona's, Tanguay, different, couple of major retailers in Quebec that carry these items. So I think with a little bit of effort, they have to be delivered, right? You don't see anyone who buys a range and brings it in their trunk. So with a bit of effort, they could have easily obtained the address for sure, a physical address, and maybe even an email address and phone number of each person, and contacted them to at least inform them. And that's where the class action comes in. So one of the solutions or one of the resolutions in class actions is that notices are sent out, be it when the case is authorized or settled, or this media interview we're doing now, makes people aware of the dangers, and that's one of the reasons why my client wanted to bring the action, is so that other people can also be made aware.
Yeah, and I'm thinking about people like renters, right? Let's say you've rented a place and it has one of these stoves. How would you know, right? Unless you're hearing about it or seeing about it. Let me ask you, is there any precedent here? Do you know an example of maybe a similar court case, maybe not against Samsung and stoves, but other appliances where there are remedies that were sought like the remedies you're seeking?
So I know that Samsung has another class action going forward with their front-loaded washing machines. There's all sorts of different recalls against LG, Whirlpool. It's all a question of context. When it's a recall case, I'll give you an example. There was a major recall with IKEA furniture in 2016. So there, IKEA was saying if you bring in any chest of drawers that were purchased from, I think, 2001 onward, we'll give you your money back. That's not such a bad recall. The only problem was, how do I bring my chest of drawers back? So
Yeah.
when so to answer your question, yes, there was a case recently authorized against Samsung for their front washers. However, or their fridges. Sorry, it might have been their fridges. However, in that case, Samsung was actually offering cash up front to the consumers. So they said, I think the lead plaintiff was offered $400 and she wanted more. Here, they're telling you, too bad, too sad, we're giving you knobs that probably cost them 40 cents to send to you, and you're stuck with this really unsafe and then ugly stove.
Joey, listen, we'll leave it there. Direct everyone to your law firm's website. You said LPCLEX, right? .com?
LPCLEX.com/Samsung, and I'll take this opportunity to wish all your listeners Shana Tova, Happy New Year.
Oh, and yes, Shana Tova as well, and thanks for that, Joey. Appreciate your time. We'll talk soon.
Thank you.
Joey Zukran, class action attorney with LPC Avocats.